his parents' house out in California as we bring in the Wall Street Journal editorial board member tonight, Mary O'Grady, kind enough to join us in studio. Good to see you, Mary.
Hi, Connell.
I was covering this back and forth in court this week, and everybody yesterday, including me, I guess, made maybe too much of a big deal of the number, $250 million. We said, first of all, nobody's showing up with $250 million in cash to bail the guy out. It's a bond. But it was kind of weird that they supposedly used his parents' home as collateral, and the home's worth about $4 million. But what did you make of that back and forth about letting this guy out on such a big number, $250 million?
Yeah, it's tempting to have a little bit of schadenfreude with this guy because he had, he put himself up as this incredibly virtuous, moral person who was, us mere mortals could only hope to become someday. But I think, you don't have a heart if you don't kind of feel bad for the parents. And I think in terms of whether he should have house arrest or not, I think the court is looking at, is he a flight risk? And that's why the bond and why the ankle bracelet.
Yeah.
He's not really a danger to people like a murderer would be or something like that. It's very important for Lady Justice to remain blind. His counterparts in this scheme also have that opportunity to put up that kind of money and get bail. I don't know if they will. But I don't think it's a big deal. I'm more interested in what he talks about when he talks, because he was also getting a lot of support from the Democratic Party. And when you see pictures of him he looks like he's grinning a little bit. I think he has a story to tell. Will
that story be of any value? The story you mentioned his counterparts. The one they're telling is of some value maybe in prosecuting him. Caroline Ellison, who was apparently his girlfriend for a while, but more importantly was the head of that trading firm, Alameda. She was in open court today at her plea hearing, saying that she and Sam Bankman-Fried knowingly misled investors. So that seems like bad news if you're SBF. Where does he go from here? You're suggesting maybe he has something to share with the authorities?
Yeah, I think that his counterparts pleading the way they have is trouble for him.
Yeah.
Because from the beginning, when the whole thing started to unravel, he went, oops, sorry.
I know.
And, it looks like a line, it's a parody. That's not going to work. And you can see that the prosecutors are very clear in saying, look, this money was used in this way. We all know from a very basic, when you go on Wall Street, you can't commingle funds. You can't start borrowing. It's really going to be very difficult for him to claim that, oops, I didn't realize that was something I shouldn't do.
Right, and she's coming out already and saying he knew about it. The two of us worked together on it. But enough about SBF, as they call him, for a while. I've been covering him all week. I want to talk about Elon Musk with you for a minute as well. He says he's not going to sell any more shares of Tesla, at least for the next 18 to 24 months, and also says a decision on a buyback of the company's stock could be influenced by the severity of any economic downturn. Tesla shares, by the way, speaking of severity of downturns, down to 123 and change today. Your thoughts maybe on a buyback here?
Well, first of all, this is a technology company. All the technology companies are having difficulty since the Fed has raised rates 7 times this year, and so the cost of capital is much higher. But Tesla's interesting because it has a huge amount of cash, and he could do that buyback without a problem. And I think that the fact that he's not going to sell any more stock and he's flirting with that idea is probably going to be helpful. His big hesitancy, of course, is that if we are heading for a recession like we went through in 2009, now is not the time to do a buyback. So I think he's smart to sort of suggest it, but then back away from it. And the other thing, of course, is his attention.
Yes.
Twitter has distracted him. He's admitted that there was a period of time where he had to work on righting the ship, and he says he's almost done with that now, and he's going to be able to refocus on Tesla.
Well, that's where the pressure's coming from, don't you think? Tesla shareholders, to some extent, who say, come on, we need your focus as well, sir, here, and let's get somebody else in there running Twitter. And all this back and forth this week about a new CEO. Is that the pressure from Tesla?
I think there's that pressure, and I think also, the price of the stock has not been helpful. helpful either. And then when you find out that he's been selling a lot of it since November 2021, I think that's not a real confidence builder either. But I mean, if you're in Tesla, if you're in electric vehicles, you have to be thinking about them in the long term, right?
Right.
And he does seem to have done a fairly good job just in the financial management part of the company. It's not in big trouble. So
well, the company is in good shape, right?
Exactly.
On a relative basis. I mean, I know the stock gets a lot of attention, and there's a lot of short sellers and all the rest, and that's been a Tesla story for years and years. But you'd rather be Tesla as a company than say, I don't know, Twitter, wouldn't you be in many ways?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the debt picture that I was looking at,
okay.
and they don't have the kind of debt problems that some of the other big technology companies have. So he's well poised, but I think he's right to say, well, look, if we're going into a big bad recession right now, I'm not going to start buying back a lot of stock.
Hey, real
at this
quick
level.
before we do let you go, do you think he can make Twitter work as a company and make money? Even before he was there, forget all the drama that we've seen here in recent weeks. It wasn't a successful company, Twitter.
He didn't want. I don't think he really wanted the company after
Probably
a while.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that I guess I'm talking my own book in a way, but I'm hoping that his angle, which is a free speech angle, will somehow be successful.
Right. Good to see you, Mary. Merry Christmas.
You too.
Thank
Same
you
to
so
you.
much for coming in the studio right on the day before.
Thank you.